Freedom of speech is an inalienable right held by Canadians, Americans, and in many democratic nations worldwide. The right to freedom of speech, religion, and conscience are all protected by the First Amendment for Americans, and likewise by Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada. Debate rages on about what kind of speech should be protected and what speech should be illegal. Despite our charter right to free speech, there are many forms of speech that are illegal in Canada and other Western nations. Types of pornography, libel, inciting violence, state-sponsored propaganda, and many others. As the reasonable society that we are, we've recognized that not all forms of speech should be protected or accepted. Usually the basis for if an act of free speech is illegal is if it causes harm. Harm can mean many things. Harm can include slandering someone's name with lies, inciting violence against an individual or group, or verbal harassment. When the line of free speech in existing law is blurred, it is up to the Supreme Court to decide if the Charter applies to any instance. Recently, the Supreme Court of Canada found that comedian Mike Ward's comedy bit that was seen as harmful to a prominent disability advocate was protected by the Charter. We have also seen that the right to peaceful assembly, which is a form of free speech, does not allow you to occupy city streets for weeks at a time. Free speech is the cornerstone of any democracy. People should not live in fear because of what they say, who they worship, and what they protest for. People should also have the right to associate or not associate with whomever they wish. The issue of compelled speech is a hot topic. Should people be able to discriminate against others based on their beliefs? It's an issue where two rights have a confrontation with each other. Should a person be legally compelled to use another individual's preferred pronouns, or be forced to bake a wedding cake for a same-sex wedding? This is the modern debate of free speech and what its limitations should be. I am a free speech absolutist. Any type of speech that does not cause a harm according to existing laws should be permitted. The NDP recently proposed a law that would ban certain hate symbols after Nazi and Confederate flags were seen during the convoy protests in Ottawa. Bill C-229 would ban the sales and display of hate symbols, such as the ones I just mentioned, which is an affront to the core idea of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech does not exist to protect speech that most people agree with. It is to protect speech that most would find offensive, provocative, and vile. 99.9% of people find symbols like the swastika and the stars and bars disgusting and evil symbols of genocide and oppression, which they are. However, they are and should remain legal to display on private property. The bill does not lay out any specific punishments for displaying and selling hate symbols, but any kind of punishment by the government would be a severe overreach and be in direct defiance of our charter rights. Freedom of speech includes conscious beliefs of hatred and bigotry. Thoughts and words of hatred have always and will always exist, even if this bill were to become law. The bill is also very vague and includes just a handful of specific symbols that would be banned. If these symbols cause harm, as the MP who brought the bill forward suggests, then we could theoretically ban any symbol that someone finds harmful. Bill C-229 is the definition of a slippery slope. In our imperfect world, freedom of speech means the freedom to hate, and our elected officials should be prepared to defend our charter rights, even if it is the unpopular thing to do. Freedom of speech and its limitations should be fiercely debated before any action is taken to restrict them. The MP who sponsored the bill may believe that the majority of Canadians agree with him that hate symbols should be banned, but we do not live in a nation of mob rule. To conclude, freedom of speech should be absolute in Canada unless it causes a harm, and the definition of a harm should be rigorously debated and reviewed before it is made law. The only entity who benefits from less speech is the government, and as such we should not place in their hands the power to strip it away.